Welcome everybody to the channel. This is Abyss 1232. I have another gun review for you. Yes, it is a CZ, so let's go ahead and open it up and see what we got inside. As you can see, this is going to be the 97B, which is going to mean that this is going to be calibrated in a 45 auto ACP. So what we have here, as with all CZs, you're going to get your cleaning rods, which is funny because these are actually for the 9mm. I guess they don't make the 45 cleaning rods and pack those instead. Whatever, I use my own stuff. I do get two 10-round staggered magazines for, as you can see, 45 ACP, 10 rounds. Very nice coating. You get your barrel bushing wrench in the bag here. Comes in handy if you don't have the finger strength to do it yourself. And as with all CZs, it comes with your warranty card, your test target, and that's pretty impressive. That's a lot better, tighter group than I've seen with the other CZs that I have, which is kind of scary, but apparently this is more accurate from the factory. They did make two versions of this, guys, so as you can see from the manual, this is the original version with the wood grips. Originally came with the standard CZ75 sights and a different barrel with a different feed ramp. So apparently there was complaints about the feed ramp not chambering rounds or having problems with hollow points. They went ahead and updated it to what you see here in front of you on the newer versions. Those started in the year 2013-2014. Again, they do make this in the decocker version, so you have a choice of the safety or the decocker. That decocker is going to be named the 97BD appropriately. And that's what that's going to look like. Again, that's the older model. It's going to be installed with the older sights, older grip. But the newer one, as far as I know, gets installed with the tritium night sights and the aluminum grips. But you might find a lot of crossbreeds in between. So this is the 2015 year model. So this should have all the new upgrades. And as you can see, go ahead and go over the pistol. Start at the top here. It does get installed with the fiber optic red front and the standard CZ75 rear night sight. So it does give you a 3-dot sight still, but your fiber optic front is going to be different from your standard CZ75 front sight. You still get your serrations on the top of the slide to cut down on glare. Something different that they put on the 97 is going to be this loaded chamber indicator. I don't have a dead round to show you, but that little silver piece will protrude from the top when there is a cartridge loaded, ready to go. You're going to have your front and rear slide serrations. Again, those are nicely, deeply set so that you can get proper purchase on it when you're cocking the slide, press checking the firearm. This is the manual safety version, so I actually tend to keep this cocked and locked when I have it in a holster. When I draw it from the holster, I will be in single action. Or you could have the hammer down and you can have the long safety and heavier pull of the double action. So you can see it's got a full dust cover with no rail. Gives a really nice lines on the firearm. Got that high swept beaver tail. Manual safety. You have your standard length slide release. Checkering on the front trigger guard here. Again, your cutouts to make room for a gloved hand right up here. The magazine release tends to feel a little bit small, especially when you're gripping the larger frame. Medium-sized hand, so I'd actually have to shift my grip quite a bit to press that. I know this is a new firearm and that magazine release is pretty stiff, and it will loosen up with time as my other ones did, but it does have drop-free magazines, so got that nice black polycoat finish, as with most CZs do. Very durable from what I find, and just looks great on the firearm. Again, this is going to have the new updated black aluminum checkered grip frames, or checkered grip, sorry, that nicely blend into the frame on the rear here. You have your rear and front strap serrations. Your magazine well is not beveled, and hopefully you can see that how long this grip is compared to a regular CZ75. It's just so much more exaggerated out to accommodate the magazines for the 45 round. And honestly, this grip would have been wider this way if they chose to make this a double stack magazine, but they're actually only staggered in the magazine, so it allowed it to be a little bit thinner, but it is wide. So I have medium-sized hands, and I find it difficult to actually, when I have proper grip, to pull the pistol trigger in double action. But that's just me, that's just the way my hands sit. I don't get, as you can see, I'm barely able to get my finger on there and pull the trigger smoothly on the double action. Plus it's really heavy. So I tend to keep mine cocked and locked, so when I pull it out of the holster, I'm in the shorter reach, quicker trigger, but making use of the manual safety there. So that's a quick overlook of the firearm itself. Some of the features, as with most CZs, it does feel really nice in the hand, even though it has a larger frame. I just happen to have trouble reaching that trigger in the double action, so I prefer to keep mine cocked and locked at the range or out of a holster, whatever it might be. So takedown for this pistol is just like any other CZ75. Go ahead and cock the hammer, line up the takedown lines, and since this is still new, I actually find it very difficult to remove this pin. So I'm going to just push it with the magazine for now. Allows me to remove that pin, but eventually that'll work its way out. Push the slide forward, and as you can see, the design is almost exactly like every other CZ75 with fire pin block equipped. Has the dual-sided trigger bar. Does have your fire pin lifter. It's fire pin block equipped. But can't really see too much, but very refined in the machining. My other CZ75s have a lot more machining marks on the slide, but these edges are a lot sharper, a lot cleaner, and like I said, just overall looks a lot more refined inside. No more tooling marks as with some of my older models. This is very clean inside. It looks like they updated a lot of their work after the year 2013 and really implemented it in the 2014-2015 year models. So a little bit different here. Go ahead and remove your guide rod and spring. Do have your housing, which is actually made out of metal. Pretty nice. And what you have here is a barrel bushing. You can go ahead and use the supplied barrel bushing wrench if it's too tight for you, but I find that you can just kind of hand loosen and hand tighten the bushing without the wrench. So that comes off. That allows your barrel to be removed. So you can see the way that that's designed a little bit differently. So this is actually rounded off. In the original CZ75, provide your lockup with the two locking nuts on the barrel. This is actually going to lock to the top of the frame, similar to a polymer or SIG. You'll see this in their locking designs. Again, this is going to have pretty nice polished feed ramp from the factory. Hopefully you can see that. Really nice. And right now it has about 200 rounds through it. You can see the wear on the top there. That'll eventually, and the sides, those will eventually wear itself off. But this is the updated version. So you can see that this is, I believe this is extended over the original, which was a little shorter on the feed ramp, but that aids in loading those hollow points or the bullets that are shorter in the nose. So again, there's your firing pin block, and then that right there will be your loaded chamber indicator. And as you can see, when there's a round in there, that will move up. So that's a basic teardown field strip of the 97B. And then to put it back, go ahead and do the opposite. Barrel goes in, barrel bushing goes in, and again, you can use the wrench once it gets further down to fully tighten it and zero it out, but find that I can actually tighten mine by hand, get it to properly line up, just like that, without the wrench. It's a slide put back together. And gun is still unloaded. Put your pistol put back together. Does offer some nice weight, especially when you have that 45 round kicking back at you. Just go ahead and weigh it out. It's going to be 37 and almost 37 and a half for the firearm itself. Magazines weigh about 3.5. So in total, they're going to bring you right to about 41 ounces. That's unloaded. So just like all the other CZs, it's got a nice heft, nice weight to it. Help manage recoil. Now, as far as I know, this is I believe a 18-pound recoil spring, I believe, and a 20-pound hammer spring. So, since this is a CZ75 variant or design, a lot of the parts are going to be interchangeable with their products. So you can swap out the safeties, you can change out the hammers. Obviously the sights have the same cuts. Change out your hammer spring, your recoil spring, change out your triggers, pins. All the inner workings are going to be the same. If you can find an extended magazine release, you can go ahead and change that out. So that's pretty nice as far as the design goes. Let's go ahead and get to the trigger here, guys. This is a solid, seems like the combat style trigger. It's thicker, but it doesn't have your over travel screw. So it's just a solid trigger. Let's go ahead and get the trigger pull weight on the double action. And I'm assuming this is going to be pretty heavy. So first pull was 11 pounds. Seems kind of light. It feels actually heavier than that, but let's take another reading. It's right at 11 pounds again. And one more just for good measure. Okay, so 11 pounds on the dot. So that's going to be your double action pull. Again, it's meant to be that way. It's the safety on the pistol. 11 pounds there, finally focused. Let's go ahead and get your single action pull. Single action is very crisp, 5 pounds. We'll go ahead and do 3 pulls on the reading there. Again, another 5 pounds. And that was a fast one, but again, very consistent, 5 pounds on the single action. And again, what I was mentioning as far as the refinement goes, even though this is a very heavy trigger, yeah, it's very heavy, as you can see there. It actually feels very smooth. Single action is very crisp. A little bit of take up there because that firing pin block that you have to overcome. You can see it moving on the rear there. But pretty crisp for what it is. Slight movement right there until the wall. Let's try the reset. And then movement after the reset. Again, have to overcome that firing pin block, and you're back in your single action again. So your reset is out there. There's your movement. More movement to get to your wall. And that's your trigger pull, guys. So 11 in the double action, 5 pounds in the single action. It actually seems to work out in my favor though. Feels really smooth. Let's go over the test target. These are very, very rough. Again, this is me first shooting, first 10 shots right here. Yeah, 7 yards I want to say. So this is first shots on it. Not too bad. I think these are a couple flyers out here, but Next magazine, kind of brought it in some. And this is actually my first time shooting a 45 round, believe it or not. But next magazine after that, I was able to group it, see where my sights were, control the recoil a little bit more, and kind of brought them centered. See how they were kind of like everywhere, but I was kind of able to bring them more centered. And then this is my final magazine on this target, 7 yards. See, it's about, what, 3 inches out. But for me, first time shooting a 45 ACP, stock trigger, something I'm definitely not used to on a CZ is a stock trigger, since I seem to like to work on them. But to me, this is actually a pretty good group. I did a lot better as the night went on, and I was able to shoot about a 1 inch group, 1.5 inch group, 7 yards. Once I moved out to 10 yards and 15 yards, stayed pretty consistent with this target. That's not bad. Those are the first shots for CZ97. Again, that's the pistol, guys. It looks beautiful. It holds beautiful. It is a little wide here. It's a little stiff from the factory. As you can see, the recoil spring. Triggers are really heavy, but it's a lot more refined compared to the other years, guys. So nice updates. Still feels like a CZ. Still looks like a CZ. But it's a beautiful gun, guys. Got some upgrades coming for this, and we'll go over that later on in the videos. But as of now, I'm super happy with this pistol. It shoots fantastic, and it handles really well. And once I start modifying it, you know it's going to be even better. That's what I got for you guys. CZ97B, chambered in the 45 auto ACP. Shoot straight, shoot safe, guys.